I've been really itching to travel and tell you some awesome stories about my trip. Unfortunately, the past days have been rainy, so I've had to postpone my travel plans. Hi. But hey, I'm getting more and more curious about these trends on social networking sites where people post photos reminiscent of their high school years and anything in the past. Let me try that now and describe this episode as a hashtag throwback travel. Cool, eh? Whoops, that's not the Titanic. I'm not creating my version of Titanic, but this episode is about something that is also out there somewhere on the sea. Filipinos all over the world, I now present to you the BRP Gregorio del Pilar, the Philippine Navy's warship. Here are some fast facts about the ship. Its length is 378 feet. Beam, or the extreme width of the ship, measured on the widest part, 42 feet. Draft, or the water the ship draws when loaded, 15 feet 7 inches. Displacement, 3,390 tons, and it has a maximum speed of 16 over 26 knots. BRP Gregorio del Pilar, formerly the USCG cutter Hamilton, was officially transferred to the Philippine government from the US Coast Guard on May 13, 2011. On December 14, 2011, it was commissioned in the service of the Philippine Navy. In April of this year, during the celebration of Pista Idaya 2013, the ship docked on Lingayen Gulf and opened it to the public. And being an adventurous guy, I also grabbed the opportunity to take a tour inside the ship, which was the first time for me. Lingayen does not have a seaport, so the ship had to be anchored 3 nautical miles from the shore. A ride in a rubber boat was needed to reach the ship. The ride itself was wonderful. Yeehaw! The enormity of the ship greeted us as we were approaching. Upon entering and seeing staircases, I knew the tour inside this ship is not a piece of cake. Our first stop is the wardroom. This is where the commissioned officers and ship hold meetings and strategic planning. Commodore Joe Anthony Orbe, the commanding officer of BRP Gregorio del Pilar, says the ship has been acquired by the Philippine government for the modernization program of the armed forces. A second warship, BRP Ramon Alcaraz, has recently arrived in the country. Several steps from the wardroom is the quarters of the commanding officer, which unfortunately is restricted to the public. For your eyes only. After visiting the wardroom and the commanding officer's room, our guide brings us to the gun deck where huge armaments can be found. The biggest is the 76mm Auto Melara gun, which can fire up to 80 rounds of ammunition per minute. Whoa, that's intense, huh? In the back portion of the ship is where the helipad and the hangar are located. Want to play captain of the ship? The bridge is where all commands around the ship are coming from. This is where the captain, in the warship's case, the commanding officer, gives orders to his men and commands the ship's navigation. This screen shows the exact location of the ship on the sea, complete with coordinates. Cool, right? And since almost half of these men's lives are spent sailing on the sea, they also need the comforts of home away from home. The ship then has a kitchen, a mess hall where they dine, and a lounge where they can stay when they are off duty. Figure-conscious men can also lift weights at the gym. For emergencies, they can go to the clinic. Feeling complete? Well, here's another good thing about the ship. It can accommodate guests and relatives of the ship's officers should they need to go to another part of the country as long as the destination is along the ship's route. Touring inside the Philippine Navy's warship is definitely a one-of-a-kind experience that I'm going to miss. And over, it is going to be a throwback travel adventure playing in my mind. That's all for this week, guys. I'm EJ, and this is Traveldotcom, where adventure never stops.